Good morning or afternoon. Hi, I am Jill Wilson, and welcome to the first in a little series of digital matters for Scottish women in business. I run an award-winning web agency in Glasgow called ButteredHost, and we started making websites way back in the 1990s, possibly even before some of you were actually born. I've worked in commercial companies, charities, Glasgow Uni, worked for organisations of all types and backgrounds on marketing sites, shops, booking systems, learning environments, digital hubs, all sorts of things. Um, my daughter and I started this company back in 2018, and we've really enjoyed building and working on the business. So, like all of you, we've been through the process of setting up a business and working out how it all works and comes together. So, how does someone get started in the online world? And even if you've got a presence, some of this will be worth coming back to and looking at again. So, the first thing we need to understand is that actually the digital world is more or less a reflection of the real world. So, things that work well in the real world may transfer well to the digital world, but quite often, if they don't work well in the real world, they are not going to work well in the digital world. So, try and think about it offline first before moving online. The first thing you need to consider is your target audience or market. You want to choose who you're going to talk to and also work out what differentiates you from your competitors. Why should that target audience want to choose you? In the last 2 years, as you'll know, there have been so many new startups online, and you need to be really laser focused on these points so that you can get ahead of the competition. So it's really worth spending the time doing this because quite often your competition won't. And this is where you'll pull ahead of them. And we all know that everything changes, business change, we change, the way people shop change and interact online. And you've seen this yourselves on the last couple of years, how everybody's much more comfortable online, even a generation that traditionally would not have been so comfortable. Um, it's very easy, though, to get sidetracked with what other people think you should do. And it's very, easy to be pulled this way and that by some well meaning advisors. I had a mentoring session recently with two people whose original passion had been to sell high end bespoke lighting, and they absolutely lit up, pun intended, when they were talking about that. So, what they did though was they bought an existing website, which was a generic drop shipping that's a shop website that looks pretty much like any other drop shipping website. And in over 6 months, they hadn't made a single sale. They had spent a fortune on adverts and it just hadn't worked. They had no clue who their ideal customer was at this time, and they'd gone way too wide with their product range. And after speaking with them and suggesting that they pull back in their product range and focus on one, they then revealed this original idea, and they sort of went, "Oh yeah, we've kind of lost that, didn't we?" So they decided that they would return to their original passion, and I've no doubt they will be successful going forward. Um, what you want to think about, and what I told them to do, was to think about creating some avatars for those ideal customers, and really think about who they are and what they like and where they live and how they like to be spoken to and communicated with. Are they quirky? Are they upmarket? Do they speak with a local dialect? Do they like to watch videos or read or watch animations? And what colours do they like and expect? So, for example, I just recently did a gaming website, and actually they wanted dark colors because that's what their users would expect. But if you were doing a luxury beauty range, you might choose light, fresh, clean colors, pastel colors even. It's about what your audience want and expect. It's very easy to get caught up in our own preferences, but you know what? your website is not for you, it's for your customers. So always keep that in mind. And if you know these things about your ideal customer, you know, then you can get going with that. If not, then you need to do some research. And if you don't have existing customers, then you're going to have to be a little bit more creative with that. You can ask the people around you. Um, it's okay to ask family if they are like your ideal customers. If not, you have to find somebody else. You can join Facebook or LinkedIn groups. You can quiz your contacts. You can stop people in the street if that's your thing. But take the time to do this research so that you've got this deep, deep understanding of who your target market is. And then start thinking about what is your unique offering? What is it that you are offering that nobody else is? And once you've got that information tucked under your belt, start looking around and seeing what's out there. So I would suggest you create a mood board. Now, that could be a physical mood board, or it could be something that you might use Pinterest for, or some of the other online stuff. And start to collect things that will appeal to your audience. So you can take inspiration from things like um, similar industries or different industries or magazines, posters, videos, of course, websites. And it could be from nature or town centres, all sorts of places. So start collecting those things together. Then start thinking about what do you want your website to achieve for you. Maybe your website's about credibility for the services you provide. And actually, that's a really legitimate thing to use your website for, because remember, even if somebody recommends or refers to you, uh, people, when they're coming, the first thing they're going to do is look you up online, isn't it, to see that you're legit and you're kosher. And it's only human nature. We all do it. So you need to make sure your website is ready and shows what kind of professional status that you have. Make sure that you gather social proof and testimonies and show them on your website. These will show that you are trustworthy and that you know what you're doing. And it can be a bit tricky at first, because if you don't have too many clients, so it's quite, so what you could do is do a deal with somebody whereby you give them services or products at a reduced rate, in order to get some kind of feedback from them. If you're just starting out, you can't determine in advance what that feedback will be. It must be genuine feedback, but that is something you could do. Eh, let's see, what else? Yes, if you need to drive leads, if you're going to use your website to drive leads to your phone or your email, you might want to take payments. Are you going to sell courses, memberships, products and services, masterclasses? Then one good thing to do at this point is also start think about quantifying these leads and what you're going to need. So, for example, if to make a couple of sales a month, you need, you know, 50 leads, then how are you going to generate them? And how many of those are you going to want to come from your website? And I would suggest you don't have them all coming from your website. You have a sort of multi-pronged approach to that. But certainly you should expect some to come through your website. And it might be 20%, 15%, whatever. Have a think about that, and think about what does your website need to be like to handle that. And also that will help inform the investment that you're going to put in your site, because you've got to think of what the return on that investment's going to be. Your website is an investment, not a cost. So what are the financial considerations when it comes to building a website? There's a whole heap of models out there for building sites, and with different financial models as well. You can build yourself, you can do done with you with somebody else, you can do done for you, as in somebody builds it for you, and there are so many platforms that you can choose. So if we look at the builder sites first, you can there's so many out there. There's Squarespace, Wix, Spotify, GoDaddy, One to One, and these can be quite cheap to get going, and they can seem like a really good deal if you get online immediately and you can hit the ground running. But you will also start hitting some of their limitations pretty quick as your business progresses. You can actually end up spending quite a lot of money on these as you discover the things that you need to add and pay for more for. Like you want to add functions or actually even functions that were included in a package, and then they restructure their packages, and you have to pay for the next package up because the thing you were using was moved up. That's very frustrating. Anyway, the other thing about them is that they can end up, because they're low cost environments, they can end up slowing down over time because they are volume sales. Because there's so many of them, they put them all on the same server, and this is a bit like when you put lots of things on your laptop at home, eventually it starts grinding to a halt. And so that is actually bad news for your website, because it will affect your search engine rankings, and which is the likelihood of your site showing up on a search. So it's really important to keep it nice and fast and secure. The last point about builders is that you don't actually own your site, and if that company goes out of business, it's just gone, and you've got no recourse in that. Also, if you grow and succeed in your business, then you're basically talking about, if you want to move it off that platform, it's quite difficult to do so, and you're kind of going to be starting for scratch. So this is why, if you can afford it and you feel it's worth it to you to invest in your site, I would highly recommend using a platform that allows you to own your site and you can move it easily. And like over 40% of the entire world of the web, we use WordPress because it's really versatile and it overcomes the limitations that we've just talked about. You also need to ensure that your website is situated on a fast, secure server. We've talked about speed earlier, and to make it secure, you want to make sure there's that little padlock in the top left-hand corner. This indicates that it's got a secure certificate, which is really important these days. Lots of bad people out there, unfortunately, trying to ruin business and commerce. And it's a mistake to think that it's just the big companies they'll target. Small companies are often seen as easy targets. So there's actually always an ongoing outlay for your website, and it's important to factor that into your business plan and your budgets. A website lives in a computer called a server that we talked about, that's on the internet, and you need to rent server space. That's what we call hosting. You need to make sure that your site is technically looked after. You want to ensure that it has firewalls, backup software, updates, the firewalls are monitored, other technical maintenance and updates. You're going to probably also want to do updates to the content as you go along, maybe add new photos or even additional functionality. So you need to sort of factor these costs all into your future budgeting. Once you have your website, you will want people to find it, obviously, because there's no point in all that hard work and investment and then nobody finds it. So it's worth investing in search engine optimization as well. And we'll probably do a session on that down the line. Possibly as you start your journey, you might even think about doing a little bit of advertising for your website if it's completely new, and that'll help get it up and running. And you need to also monitor and optimize your website over time. I would suggest you probably want to review and majorly refresh your website every 2 to 3 years. Just think about the last 2 years and how much things have changed, and where we're at now compared to where we were before the pandemic. So I think that's really important that you don't get left behind. You think Yeah, we're not thinking about a website as a cost, though. We're thinking about it as an investment, and you do expect that return on. So if you're looking to partner with a web designer, make sure that they understand what you expect. And in return, they will expect you to do some work to bring them the information that we've been talking about to allow them to serve you better. And then make sure you've got somebody to help maintain your site. I actually have a free guide for folks who might like to receive it on how to look after a WordPress site, and you're welcome to email about that. Um, we'll maybe do something a bit more about that as well. We could do a session on maintaining your site. Um, okay, so what are the key areas that you have to think about when starting a site? What pages, if you like, do you have to have? Well, I think there's 5 main ones, maybe 6 is really more accurate, but 5 absolute must. So I think you need your home page, your about page. You could sort of squeeze that one somewhere else, but I think it's better in its own. A contact page, yes, you do need that, because when somebody's searching for you, they're going to search for you plus the word contact. So your contact page is really important from that point of view. You absolutely need your privacy page, and this sort of 6th area is the blog area, and this requires work from you if your website's to be a success. Blogs are fantastic tools for helping your ranking on search engines. They can show your expertise, and if they're done right, they can differentiate you in your niche, helping you to become the go-to expert in your niche. People will want to use your services and products because you're the expert. So blogs don't all have to be essays, but they should be there. And I can hear some of you going, "Oh, I don't like to write." It's okay if you don't love writing. You can do a video, and you can either post the video or you can transcribe it using one of the free services like Otter AI that will transcribe the chat, and then you just kind of tidy that up and Bob's your uncle, you've got a blog. And remember to use lots of pictures. People like something visually appealing to ensure that your blog, and ensure that your blog answers a particular question that your ideal customers are asking. Your customers have either gone online because they want to be amused, or they are wanting to find the answer to an issue or pain point. So what's the question they're asking Google that you have the answer to? You want to make sure that your blogs are providing answers to those questions. So, for example, if you're selling garden gnomes, and one of your blogs might be about how to care for your garden gnomes in winter, because that is something that somebody will be saying, winter's coming. I don't know what to do with my gnomes this winter. There's all that rain and sleet and snow and hail, and worried about their fishing rods and their little hats. So if you've got the answers, do a blog on it. You can help people, and then they'll see you as the expert and come buy your products. Do some research to find out what that is all about and get it sorted. I think that's probably enough for me. I'm really open to answering questions if you have any. So please do get in touch if you want to, and I hopefully will see you the next time we're at an event. So take care.